Welcome to this week's Watch and Learn. I'm Kim Sandberg, and with me today is Kristina Whitney. Sorry,
yes, that's me.
I didn't let you say your name there.
That's okay.
We're both studio educators here at Handi Quilter, and today we are really excited to talk about quilting designs, and specifically quilting and designs inspired by nature, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because I did this quilt a while ago, and it had a lot of animals on it. It had mountains, it had trees and backgrounds, and I really struggled with deciding what to quilt on it. And I thought, okay, I really want to kind of incorporate nature into the quilt. I didn't want to do, you know, a crosshatch or something. But I wanted it to make it, I wanted to make it look authentic. And so what I did was I went through and I tried to come up with some different designs that would mimic the movement of wind or the look of clouds.
Water. Do some water.
Yes.
Did you do some pebbles?
Some pebbles. Yes.
I love it.
And I've kind of done this over time and different quilts. So sometimes I'll have fire, like we did a fireplace and I created smoke and fire.
Yes.
And just using that quilting to emphasize what is already on the quilt rather than detract from it.
Right, exactly. And I'm excited because we're going to take a little bit of a different approach than we have in the past. We want to start focusing a little bit more on showing you how to quilt these designs from start to finish. So it always starts with a doodle, right?
Doodle, doodle, doodle.
And then it moves to the quilt. But first of all, Kristina's actually got some really great examples here of some projects that you have done with these techniques. So let's take a look at these.
So we're going to look at this quilt down here. And you can see that I've used in different areas. Like here, I used some pebbles to kind of create the look of the mountain.
I like that.
And we used some just kind of like ghost trees in here.
Very
create,
cool.
You know, the tree look. And let's move down here. This is kind of a wind sort of look behind the bears.
Should we tilt that up just a little bit so we can see that?
And then you can show them the water down there.
There we go. And then we move down to the fish. I like how you have everything in the order that it's actually in here. So you've got kind of a water meander. I think that's a little bit harder to see the water meander in there. It blends a little more, but that's kind of the idea behind these designs, right? Is to have them blend, especially when you've got like fun applique like this. You really want that applique to pop. And the quilting designs really just become an accent in the background, adding a texture.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And we're actually going to stitch today on a panel, but we're going to use a monopoly thread, which probably won't show up a whole lot. Well, it won't show up at all, but
clear thread.
You'll be able to see the texture at least.
Yeah,
so
that's the goal. So we have another example, right?
Yep,
this one is so cute. This is such a fun one, this fish. We can do a few close-ups of it here. We'll set it over here so we can take a closer look at it. This one here, so what are some of the designs you used here?
So on this one, I again used a water meander in the background behind the fish. And then if you're getting close on the gray part of the fish, I used a clamshell. And this is a very traditional quilting design, but I used it to create the look of the scales on the fish.
And that is really awesome. It even kind of feels that way. It's got a nice texture. And you did some fun little extra details here in the fins too. I see adding a little bit of some sparkle with a metallic thread, kind of showing how those fins, you can kind of see those, I guess the bones in there, huh? Is really what you can kind of see.
A little bit of thread play with it as well. Trying to change the look of the fabric and not have it just be the fabric, but actually try to make it look more like real fins.
I like that. We have another fun example that's actually from one of our national educators, Diane Henry. You can see that she did some really awesome pebbles and at the bottom there. Aren't those so cool, the way that, and she did that extra stitching around the background of those pebbles to just really make them pop.
Yeah, it's like the riverbed.
Yeah. So lots of fun ways to use these different textures, isn't there?
Exactly. So we're going to break it down now, and we're going to start at the top in the sky.
Okay.
And we're going to draw a couple of designs, and please don't feel like this covers everything. This is just like the tip of the iceberg.
Ideas.
Okay, so the first one is clouds.
So Christina's actually going to draw these
Woo!
on a whiteboard over here so that you can really see the design and the stitch path, which is important with these, right? Understanding how you're going to get from one place to the next place.
So a cloud.
A cloud.
Really difficult. My kids make fun of my clouds.
Well,
whoop, 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 whoop,
and just a note to everyone, you do have to include the sound effects when you quilt these.
So this could be a cloud, or if you really wanted to, you could, add some legs and a head and make it into a little sheep.
What's more natural than sheep? I love it. That's fantastic.
So you can do clouds, and you can build the clouds on top of each other. So I can, make one here kind of in the background. So it kind of gives it some perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, clouds.
Clouds.
They're not my best.
But you know what? I can see how just adding a little cloud to the backdrop of something, it just makes it a little more realistic looking. Although, I don't know. Your lamb with the fuzzy tail. Maybe we need to add a few more clouds in there. Get rid of the feet. Huh?
So one tip, we'll change that up a little bit there, is if you're using a panel or something that already has the clouds existing, mimic those clouds.
Right.
So you don't have to do a nice fluffy lamb quilt, but kind of mimic what's already existing.
Okay, I like it. I like it.
Okay, something else that I like to do in the sky is wind.
Okay.
And just creating that movement.
Right, right.
Okay. So for the movement, I'm just gonna kind of do a little wave here, come into a point, and then I'm gonna backtrack.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come back and just kind of go over that path.
Do a little bit of an
couple
echo.
Times. Yep. Maybe add another one.
Oh. Okay.
And of course, all of my little circles ended up right there. So we're gonna erase that. We're gonna come down and do one over here.
Okay, I like this. This looks like a really fun texture to quilt.
And it's one that's very forgiving. Just echoing, echoing, echoing. And it's great for being able to travel.
Yeah.
So if you're going around a different applique or something, it's easy to get this on there and not worry about, oh no, how do I continue on?
Yeah.
Where do I go from here? You just echo until you get around the applique.
Until you get all the way around it. I like that. I like that approach.
Okay.
That's very fun.
So you want to stitch some wind?
Yeah. Well, I want you to stitch some wind.
Oh, I get a stitch?
I'm going to let you do some stitching.
Maybe I'll stitch better than I drew.
So just a note, because I know we're going to get questions on this. This is a panel from Riley Blake, right? It's of Lake Tahoe.
It's one of the national parks.
From Riley Blake, yeah. Up here at the top, it says breathtaking views of Emerald Bay. And it's a really pretty one. It was actually one that Kristina saw a picture of it and was like, ooh, landscape quilt.
Let's have some fun with
Let's have some fun with that. So we're gonna do some stitching here. So you're gonna use that wind motif here to fill in around these clouds.
Yeah, and then I think I'll do something different in the clouds.
Okay.
But in the blue sky, I'm gonna add some wind.
Okay, I like that.
And again, I'm using the monopoly thread, so I apologize for those that can't see it. We're going for the texture here.
We are going for the texture. And you're using the microfoot there.
I am. I really like the microfoot because I can see where I'm going. Other feet that would work really well for this would be your glide foot or an open toe foot. But we're going to see how this microfoot does.
Okay.
We've also got 2 layers of batting on this.
Yes, we do.
So that will really help make that texture pop.
We've got the nice fluffy wool on top with an 80-20 on the bottom.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see what you can do for us, Kristina.
Okay. Well, first of all, if I were doing this professionally.
You are a professional. Of course you're doing it professionally.
I would probably stitch in the ditch around this border.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go back and do that after we're done filming.
Okay.
But I know we'll have questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Here we go. And I'm going to go right over these words. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, we can actually see that pretty well.
So I'm just trying to fill in that space. I can do little pieces here to really fill it in.
I like how you're just kind of skirting the edge of those clouds. You're not worrying about following it exactly. Just filling in close to it.
Exactly. Anybody that's watched me stitch knows that I'm not a perfectionist. I just like to have fun with it. I'm just kind of skirting along that top there. Adding a little circle here and there.
Fill in all that in.
Yep, I'm just echoing wherever I feel like it.
How that just creates movement. That is really great.
Let's move this out of the way.
If you stitch back or move the machine back over this way, everybody can kind of get a view of that. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is across there. That's gorgeous. And you can really see that popping up there. And I like how you just stitched right over the top of those letters, because that's not really something you want to emphasize here, right? So you just treat it as part of the background and fill it in. It looks really good. I really like that.
Thanks. So I would continue to fill in the blue with the wind, and then I would come down to these clouds. And what I probably would do is, we've got two tones here.
Yeah.
I would just try to trace around those two tones, maybe add something in here just so I have some texture in that big open space there.
The big open space. Well, let's see what you can do.
And again, I'm just going to mimic what is already existing.
Okay, so now this time around, you're actually sticking a little closer to that actual outline.
Yes.
This is where having that micro foot on is really nice, isn't it? Because you can see exactly where you're putting those stitches.
Yeah. And again, I'm not getting it, totally perfect. I'm just kind of going for it here.
Looks pretty good to me from here. There's that sound effect that apparently goes with quilting clouds. Wee.
It should be a different sound. Which sound should I make for clouds?
Oh, do a big old whoosh. There you go. The sound of wind moving.
How's that looking? I'm concentrating on where I'm at here.
It looks really good. The interesting thing though on the screen, honestly, it's kind of hard to see because the shadow that's being created is already, it's like emphasized more because of the difference between the two things. So I don't know, maybe you want to do some of the fill-in part. I know you're having really fun like quilting around that line.
Well, that looks like Italy right there.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, so I'm just going to add some more in here. And I'm not doing my nice fluffy clouds. I'm just kind of...
Well, you're imitating more what's actually there that's drawn in this panel.
Yes, and that is actually a good way to travel so that I could get to these inside pieces without having to break my thread.
Oh yeah, because nobody wants to break the thread. Heaven forbid we have to rethread the machine. We don't want to go there.
Especially with monopoly. Yeah, it's no fun.
Yeah.
So I'm just creating this random texture. If you're not comfortable just going crazy, you could take like a water-soluble marker and draw on there where you want to go, and then just follow those lines.
Absolutely. There's lots of good marking tools out there that you can use. Just be sure and always give those a try before on the fabric to make sure that they're going to come out when you're done. You don't want to, you just want to leave stitches behind, not your markings.
Exactly.
I really like that texture.
Okay, when you get bored of watching me do clouds, let me know and we'll...
Well, why don't you finish that last little bit up there by that over to that goose.
Over to the goose.
Yeah, okay. Go over to the goose.
Follow along the outside here. Do you want me to outline the goose?
Sure. Challenge. Got those little feathers in there.
And I'm going kind of slow. This isn't a speed process.
No. Not when you're trying to hit those lines. Definitely want to take your time a little bit with that. All right.
Okay.
I think that looks gorgeous. You can really see those cloud textures there. I love how that just gives an extra little, just that extra little bit of texture there to those clouds. That's so pretty.
Some extra pop.
Some extra pop, some extra poof. Let's just use that word. That's a good one for the clouds, right? Poof.
Yep.
Some extra poof. All right, super cool.
I'm kind of liking that.
I am too.
I would go around the whole outside and make sure I didn't skip anything and continue on through there.
Yeah, I think that looks really good. It definitely gives it that more realistic. And then up here to what you were doing there with the wind. Oh, it looks so great. All right, so what's your next texture? I know you got a whole sheet full of them.
Okay, well, we're going to actually advance the fabric and get down to the next section of this panel so we can see what we want to work with.
All right, so let's take a minute and do that. How long does it take 2 educators to advance a quilt?
Okay, so
okay, like that?
I think I'll focus on the water.
Okay. So this next section is really the water, right? Oh, here, sorry. Let me get that other ratchet stop down for you. Make sure you always clamp your sides, baste everything. Looks really good. So now we've got water.
And I'm just studying this
right now.
Lots
and lots of water with trees in it. And a sailboat over here. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm thinking we've got a lot of different depths.
Mm-hmm.
So in this water up here closer, I'm going to want to do smaller stitching. No, I lied, wrong way. Bigger stitching up front because the water's closer.
Bigger stitching here.
And then smaller.
And then perspective. I like that. Okay, just like it does in here, because the trees up here close are nice and big, and then as we get back here, these trees are just kind of a little bit of a suggestion.
Yes.
Right?
And I would outline all of those trees. So there's different types of water that we can do.
Yeah, let's look at some of the, like the water meanders and stuff.
Okay, so let's draw some water.
Let's draw some water. And there's some different ways to do water, isn't there, really?
There are lots of ways to do water. So it kind of depends on what kind of water you're wanting to do. Let's say I'm doing out in the ocean.
Okay.
It's a large body of water, so I might just want to do some gentle waves.
Oh, very, very nice.
And I don't like to do my waves exactly the same.
Yeah.
I want to have some that are like closer and some wider, and it just gives it a different look.
Well, it definitely creates more movement in that design. Yep, I like that.
Okay, let's say we're on the beach and those waves are rolling in.
Okay.
Okay, we can do kind of a hook.
Oh, yes. This is the C that if you would have done this in handwriting practice, your teacher would have been like, connect those two together. But right here, it's perfect. I love it.
And you can even add like a little swirl into it.
Ooh.
Ooh, that one got kind of crazy. Whee. So, lots of different looks. The one that I showed in those samples earlier, and that I think I might do on this one, just because it's a kind of a calm body of water.
It's a lake. It's a lake, so there's not a lot of movement going on in this water, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a water meander down here.
Okay.
So to do it, it's fairly similar to a stipple. I'm going to come around, do the next layer, come back, maybe come up, do another layer up top, do a little guy here, maybe a longer one, coming back and forth. Notice that most of this is going horizontally.
Yeah. Kind of creates that look of like ripples on water, doesn't it?
Yes.
I like that.
Okay, I've got to stop with my sound effects.
Oh, but they're so entertaining. I love the sound effects.
Okay, so back here in the back, since I'm going to be doing it kind of little, I'm not going to really focus on it being super spectacular, exact. So I'm going to start over here to get this space filled.
You really don't have much room to do more than just a few lines back there to kind of tack everything down almost.
And I might even just do some of the first one, just the gentle waves back there.
Okay.
We'll experiment and see what we like.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Except I'm not unpicky.
Heavens no. We don't do that around here.
So in between those trees where I have some space, I'm adding in that little
bit of a meander
kind of look.
I like watching you.
Oh, thank you.
It's very soothing.
Okay, and I'm just going to do halfway so that we can get down to this part.
Get down to the fun part.
But I would do that same thing back through the rest of this area.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to keep on doing my meander. If I got bored, I could add in some waves.
This is a mountain lake, though, that's pretty placid.
Well, I've been on lakes that have gotten kind of choppy.
Oh, true. That's true, especially if the wind's blowing.
Yes.
I guess it depends on the weather of that day, huh?
Yeah, and where you're at. So my main goal here is just to fill in all of this space. And as I get closer, I'm going to try to make these spacings a little bit larger.
Create that texture.
And now I'm going back, so I'm making them a little bit smaller.
Forced perspective.
So this is a really easy design to fill in those empty spaces that you've missed.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna aim down towards that sailboat.
Okay. Let's see how things are getting a little larger here.
I'm just going to sneak into those trees. And if I get stuck, the best way to get out is just to travel and go around the tree.
Very nice.
Until I'm back in the water.
Doing that meander at that bigger, the bigger space in between. Oh, Kristina, that's gorgeous. Makes me want to go to the lake.
How's that?
That was beautiful. Oh, it looks really good. That
break my thread here real quick.
That texture across there.
How did my perspective go? I was so focused on where I was at, I didn't really see.
You did really well on that. You can really see how, you know, you've got bigger spaces, and then as it goes up, everything gets tighter together. It definitely has that feel of looking at it and looking across that water there.
So a tip with this is if you are concentrating like I was and you're not really watching that spacing, you can make marks again. Like say, okay, from this line down, focus on making it bigger.
Yeah.
Here to here, make it more medium. And then smaller. And then just kind of overlap on those lines so that it's not
a clear cut.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of blend them in.
I really like that. Oh, that's gorgeous.
So
I might have to get me one of these panels and do some quilting.
They're kind of fun.
Yeah, very fun. So what other textures do you have for us? Or
Well, I'm seeing this big rock here.
Yeah, the island.
Yes. And I'm debating.
I think you're getting inspired here.
Rocks.
Rocks.
What are little rocks?
They're pebbles.
Okay, should we do pebbles on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see you do some pebbles.
So I'm going to draw the pebbles first.
Okay.
Get this cleaned off.
Yeah,
here.
pebbles, pebbles are really one of those designs that we always have questions about your stitch path. So I think it is really good for you to kind of show everybody what your method is. There's different ways to draw them, and no wrong way. Just pick what feels most natural for you and roll with it.
Yes.
So how do you like to do pebbles?
I'll show you how I like to do pebbles. I like to think about alternating between clockwise and counterclockwise. And any kind of traveling you have to do, just travel over that existing circle.
Exactly.
So if I'm going to travel around, I'm actually going to give myself a space here.
Okay, to fill.
That I want to fill. So I'm pretty close to this side, so I'm going to try to fill that side first. Okay, so I went clockwise, so now I'm going to go counterclockwise. Clockwise, counterclockwise.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fill in that area. And you'll notice, okay, so I kept going all the way around until I could come out. So you're looking for your exit point. Keep traveling, traveling, traveling.
Right.
I'm going to do a bigger circle here, fill in that whole space, then a little one, counterclockwise, clockwise, counterclockwise. And changing the size is very beneficial because then you're not stressing out trying to make them all the same size.
Yeah.
And they don't all have to be circles. They can be ovals. These are pebbles in nature.
Exactly.
They're not all the same.
They are not the same size, and they're not all perfectly round. And those pebbles look very natural to me. I really like those.
Thanks.
Just creates that fun texture that has some pop with it.
Yep.
I like it.
Okay.
I really like that.
Is that enough drawing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I want to stitch.
I know, especially pebbles. Pebbles are fun. Now, let's talk about, so far you've been stitching in Cruise, stitch regulation. Are you going to continue to do that with the pebbles, or are you going to make a switch here?
So it depends on how big I am stitching, if I switch or not.
Okay.
I think for this one, I'm going to make my pebbles a little bit larger.
Okay. So you're at 11 stitches per inch. Is that where you want to be?
So I'm going to change my stitches per inch.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? Let's be wild and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show them manual mode.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I think we should.
And I'm going to adjust my handlebars a little bit here if I'm going to be doing manual and more micro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do micro, but I'm going to do them a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go to manual mode.
Okay.
And
turn your motor speed up to about...
I'm going to start with 400.
400, okay.
I'm just going to play.
Okay.
Okay. So, got to get down and ready.
I know, you got to get in the position.
All those joints. Usually I would do this sitting on a chair with lights on and both handlebars in position. But we want everybody to see.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get these extra threads out of my way.
Just clip those threads.
And make sure you always put your threads in the garbage can.
Yeah. Don't want them getting caught around your wheels of your carriage. Oh, and this is when that microfoot is so nice because you can just really, really see what you're doing.
Exactly. And you can hear that hum of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And with it being in manual mode, I'm the one that's controlling the stitch length. So if I find that my stitches are too big, I'm going to just up my speed a little bit.
Yeah. The nice thing is using a thread like monopoly, that just blends right in.
I'm going to make a little tree here.
Oh, I like that. Now this is definitely one of those textures that might be a little harder for everybody to see on the screen, but I promise it's well worth it.
Make a bigger one there. I'm going to make my tree.
Little zigzags.
So you notice there that I went from doing pebbles to making trees without stopping the machine. You can go over this entire thing without having to break your thread.
Oh yeah.
Just find that travel path and where you can cheat and go over the same spot.
It's the nice thing. You can always go back over that stitch line, right?
Yep. And pebbles are very forgiving also.
They are.
I like to think about a roundabout. If you get in the middle of a roundabout and you're not sure where you need to exit to get to the next direction,
Just go around again.
Keep going in circles till you know where to go.
That's right.
Okay, should I do a little bit more
That's
here?
a really great example, Kristina.
I have great stories about roundabouts.
Oh, I do too. They put one in my neighborhood, and we had one of my poor neighbors who she just could not quite figure it out, and she kept driving the wrong way around it. Everybody would just laugh. Oh, Mrs. Johnson.
We lived in Guatemala for a few years, and there was this one roundabout, and it had this marimba statue in the middle, and it was just my favorite roundabout. And we were driving, and my husband said, "Okay, where are we going?" And nobody would answer him. So he just kept going around the roundabout over and over again until everybody was car sick.
Luckily with Pebbles, you're still traveling somewhere. It's not just around and around and around.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those look so amazing. Those Pebbles look so good. Oh, Kristina, that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and if I wanted to, I could even, outline this change in the color of the fabric there.
It's so cool. I love how there's just so much room to play on a panel like this. And the fun thing about quilting on a panel like this is you haven't put any time into piecing, so it can really just be all about the quilting, right?
Yeah, so this is a great project that you can work on just to practice those skills. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you don't like it, you're, out $10, $15, whatever you paid for that panel. Yeah. So
it's a really fun project. Well, this has been so much fun to just play with these different textures. Yes. I absolutely love this. So let's take a minute and talk about the quilt in the background here. So this is a fun quilt that I actually made recently for a gal that works here in the office with us. Her name is Heidi, and she is our marketing graphic designer genius. She's awesome. She is the one that's actually responsible for most of the really cool graphics that you guys see at the beginning and ends of this show. She just does such a great job. She's been with Handi Quilter for like 10 years, I think.
It's been a while.
She's really awesome. But I made this quilt for Heidi. She's had kind of a rough year, and her favorite color is purple. So this quilt is all about purple for her. And it's quilted with an edge-to-edge design. It's just pretty much a fun, simple quilt, but it's gonna hang behind her desk. And we're really excited. This is actually a surprise for her. So we kind of have fun with surprise quilts, don't we?
We like to give quilts to people.
Yes, we do. Well, we just want to say thanks for joining us this week. You be sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel, and have fun quilting this week.